Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Sara Wiseman. Today, we're working on the February 2025 channeled forecast. And for those of you who haven't listened for a while, or this is your first time here, the channeled forecasts come from a variety of guides. I've been channeling since the early 2000s. And in mid 2024, last year, I started to receive from some new beings who I've just called the star guides. And so this February 2025 channel forecast is from a new voice, a new dimension, a new consciousness, different than what we've been receiving before. So I was pretty excited about that. The other thing, for those of you who are new, a little bit about me. I'm a psychic. I teach spiritual intuition, which is psychic development from a spiritual perspective. So psychic development from the perspective of the soul. And you can find that at sarawiseman.com. I've also been a channel since the early 2000s. That's kind of how everything has arrived in for me, is through channeling. My process is working in meditation and writing as a combo. So I'll have my eyes closed and I'll be typing on my computer as the information comes through. That's kind of my process. So it's been a lot of receiving over the years, quite a few books and many courses of training. So anyway, that's just a little bit about me for those of you here for the first time. So here's what the guides, the new guides, the star guides, have to say for February. So this is the information that they would like us to focus on during like this particular period of time. February traditionally is kind of Aquarius time, or a lot of it is, and as we've discussed in past forecasts, we're in this new series of astrological events where Pluto just went into Aquarius. So Aquarius, humanity, liberty, equality, community, all of these things are coming to the extreme forefront in a way that they have not been in our collective awareness, or maybe these ideas were shunned by collective awareness. We hadn't raised ourselves to that level yet, but so here they are now. Okay, so February 2025, the star guide messages. Oneness is the golden rule. You have been hearing of others also making contact, haven't you? Of course you have. This is what is happening, and we have been waiting a long time for this. We are thrilled to meet you. You once believed that the extraterrestrial contact would arrive by us landing in our spaceships or contraptions or whatever you imagined this to be. We are delighted and amused that you have had these very young beliefs. In fact, we have been living among you, many of us off-planet beings, multitudes, for many thousands of years. We haven't been particularly hidden because you have been so busy paying attention to yourselves that you can't even see what is right in front of you. This has made it incredibly simple to live side by side, shoulder to shoulder. And you have not even imagined us as a potential reality, yet here we are. Some of us have been here for thousands of years. Many of you are descendants of us, and also there are many other off-planet species that have traveled and navigated here. They are also here and have been here for shorter and longer times, all of us living among you. For you, as human, are not really the majority species, are you? Compared to bacteria, for example, you are a You are a minuscule contribution to the whole. It is important to start to look at things differently rather than from the human top-down experience where you are the top of the pyramid in terms of importance, and the other animals below, then the plants, then the insects, then the fungi, or however you have determined your pyramid of importance. The pyramid, this pyramid is not only inaccurate, it is a completely incorrect way of looking at existence and the consciousness that exists amongst all of us. We have come here to whisper into the ears of humans who are listening or able to listen or starting to listen, and we are correcting this concept. Humans have no more importance than any other species, and in fact, no species is more important than the other. There is symbiotic relationship between all species. Some have direct symbiotic relationships and others have several degrees of separation or several degrees of inclusion. We have a symbiotic relationship with you, human, and yes, this will be explained soon. We are taking you through one step at a time. What would you like you to understand first is that the entire paradigm of humans on top, other species below, is unfailingly incorrect. A single bacterium can take any human down. This is the story of David and Goliath, the many fairy tales you have heard, where the small can rule the large. The meek shall inherit the earth, Jesus said. He did not necessarily refer to humans. If you can take the entire chart of human superiority shown to you in school and shown to you by your culture, your science, your politics, your religion, and drilled into your head by your own sense of egoic importance and the way that you have begun to inhabit the world, you will do better. Throw the entire chart away, the entire pyramid of power, and realize it is wrong. Your arrogance will not serve you in these new times. Best to let it go. Not only is it wrong in that it is incorrect, but it is also wrong in that it is not a part of oneness. If you truly believe in oneness, you understand that oneness is an absolute. Oneness is an absolute. There is no argument to oneness. It is the golden rule. It is universal law. It is the principle that applies to everything. There is no duality. There is no belief system. There is nothing but consciousness as one in all the different forms and formations that this creates and destroys. Everything is oneness all the time. If you believe this, if you believe that you are part of this and you apply this idea of no separation to your life, you realize that you yourself are also not very important. You are not very important, or rather, you can do nothing important by yourself. You are not very important, or rather, you are only important when you work with others. You are not very important, or rather, you are only important when you contribute to the whole. You are absolutely important. You have a great deal of power when you shut off your mind and your culture and tend to your soul. If you want to change the world, you must be part of the world. Get out of the cave, get out of the mind, get out of the isolation that is a myth. You cannot be separate. Do not even try. You are part of, and this acceptance allows you to tune into all the ways you can contribute. Another way to say contribute is serve. You are here to serve each other because you are each other. this no longer applies to humans only, and in fact, it never did. So this is the channeling for February 2025, and it's from the StarGuides, which are new guides for me. I think I spoke before in the January forecast about kind of my reluctance or dismay at some of the things the star guides were saying, and kind of how blunt and how sort of not all that encouraging, like sort of like humans are not that great, and we've been here a long time, you didn't even know. And it just has been a lot, as opposed to some of the other messages from previous guides were, I don't know, just like much more encouraging. So these new guides are fairly straightforward, and it reminds me of sometimes speaking to, if you're with a person from a different culture, and they'll have a way of acting that will seem different to you or abrupt, and that's just the cultural way. And it feels like the star guides are quite straightforward and don't waste a lot of time sugarcoating anything. So some of the main ideas that I take from this is that, one, they've been here for thousands of years with us. This idea of symbiosis, that they are symbiotic to us. So those of you who remember from science class when you were a kid, the idea of symbiosis is like the big shark that has the little fish, or maybe it was a hippo. I was not paying attention in those days, but the bigger animal that has the little animal that's always around it, who is assisting the bigger animal in some way. So this idea that two beings work together all the time, like the big animal supports the smaller animals support the bigger animals. They're doing each other a service, and in fact, they can't really exist without the other, or they would have problems if the other were not in the equation with them. So this is interesting, because if the guides are symbiotic to us, or we are symbiotic to the guides, we're in a symbiotic relationship. I'm not really sure yet what that means, and we'll have to wait for a further channeling to see what they're going to explain. I would wonder if, one thing I do know that's different from the guides and humans is that, well, one of the things, humans tend to work from the mind, which is not the greatest source of information. But also, so I don't think that the guides need the lower system of the mind from humans. I would doubt that they could make any use of that. It's probably very rudimentary to them. The other thing that humans do have is they have this beautiful heart connection. They have this beautiful emotion and emotional knowing, or this deep knowing that comes in through the physical form, through the body. We call it the heart, but really it's almost like this cellular attunement or particulate attunement of every consciousness at the smallest level that is in the human form. So I'm curious if it has something to do with our physicality and our emotionality and our willingness to feel what the others feel, what other humans feel, or what other beings feel. Our willingness to have that deep, compassionate empathy. So this is just a curiosity. I don't know if this is what it is. We'll see. The other thing is that this idea of oneness is the golden rule, and they are establishing the core idea of there is no greater law than oneness. And it's not even that oneness is a lie, it's beyond a lie, because it's the absolute reality of everything. So oneness is that everything is one. We are part of, and we are collective soul. As we discussed in the Gabriel messages last year, this idea of we are all created of particulate. Particulate is conscious. And all of this particulate is always with all other particulate. Like we're the smallest amount and we're the largest amount. And this is oneness. This is for humans. This is for other beings. This is for the animals and plants. This is for non-living. It's everything, all particulate, even the particulate in this pen, it's all consciousness. So they're sort of doubling down on this idea that the oneness is the golden rule. And so what, especially in psychic world, a lot of times people will like, how does this work? And we can have telepathy, we can look into the future, we can go into past lives, we can know stuff that our dominant culture says we can't know, but we can because of oneness. We are part of everything, so we can go look at what everything is. Anyway, I think that's interesting. And then the other part, and I think they're working up to this, is this idea we've had before, which is about we can't do anything by ourselves. By ourselves, what our mind, ego, personality wants is just this, it's just a preference that isn't even real. It's sort of just a preference that isn't even ours. It's just sort of handed to us by currently like social media or what our friends are doing, or it's just like we see something and then we sort of desire it. And it's not even real. Like if we'd seen something else, we would desire that. So the first thing we see, we think, I really want that. Oh, I love that so much. And then if we see something else, we're like, no, I really want that. I love that so much. And what it is we're just seeing something through this frame of that is desirable. Therefore, I must want that. It's just the weirdest thing about being human. So this idea of I wanting that, or I deserving that, whatever deserving is, or, it could be a thing, it could be a plan, it could be a quote level of success. So this is the mind, ego, personality in full raging separation. And what they're saying is it's just all a myth. Like once you drop all that stuff and use oneness as the golden rule and oneness as the way you make your way through life, things really, really change, because then you're actually flowing on track with how things really are. For February specifically, it's interesting. We had a lot of rocks and upheavals. We've had a lot of rocks and upheavals in the last 8 years. Just it's been a hard journey. But the difference is, back then, like say 2016-ish, we were entering into the rocky period. And now we're coming out of that naivete, or that way of swiveling our heads to look at every new piece of information in shock. Like, how could this be? And now we're kind of like, oh, we have already seen this playbook. And so we're sort of coming out of we've lost our innocence. We've lost our naivete. And so in February, it's a relief. Like all this drama is presented to us to capture our interest. And by this, I mean, the drama in the news. All this drama is presented, and we're kind of like, yeah, we already saw this. So And then the drama attempts to ratchet up the level to a higher level of intrigue or chaos or whatever is forming. It's like, yeah, we already know this pattern. We've already learned it. And so what we're starting to see is kind of this dropping away just out of sheer disinterest from what is being projected, so that the whole news and social media of our lives, or advertising, all of this projection, please desire this, please pay attention to this, please be swayed by this, all of this is losing its impact. We've been oversaturated, or our adrenaline has sparked, we've been adrenalized to such extent. Now we're flat. So we're starting to see this disengagement from the projection. And it's interesting because when we start to disengage and start to pay attention to how things really are, I guess, Buddhist view might be like, what's exactly in front of me? What do I feel? What can I touch? What do I smell? Like this idea of getting fully back into nowness. That is part of it. Like we look at the projection, we're like, yeah, we already saw this. We already know it's untrue or it's manipulative. We already know this. And so what is in my true circle? And this includes what is in my spiritual circle. What level of information am I receiving from the guides, from synchronicities, from all the ways that, from knowings, from all the ways that the universe is communicating. So February is an acceptance of this disengagement, or an acceptance of our disinterest, even as, the ratcheting up of drama continues. We're getting there. We have become a lot smarter, and we are understanding dominant culture a lot better. So we're getting there. We're not being as swayed by the manipulations. Alrighty, we will be back. So we have a weekly teaching on YouTube and on the podcast, which is on my website, sarawiseman.com, whichever way you prefer to engage. Hopefully the StarGuide messages book is out maybe by now, or if not, it will be soon. The Gabriel messages book is out. And then there are several other books of channel teaching that you might like. We also have lots and lots of self-study courses for just $22. If you want to dive into spiritual intuition, man, it's really good stuff, and it's very easy to learn. And then, of course, I teach directly. So look forward to being with you next time. And thank you for taking a moment to listen. Thanks.